There is no compensation to be paid to parasites. I wanted my husband to divorce because of his infidelity. In response, he insulted me by calling me a parasite who is only after compensation. I felt my limit and left home with my son. My husband said, "You're homeless from tomorrow because there's no house or husband." Ignoring my husband, who had been laughing at me until the end, I contacted a certain place. Then, a few days later, my husband called me in a hurry. "My name is Alex. I'm a 32-year-old housewife. I've been married to Ryan for 5 years this year. I live with my 3-year-old son, myself, and Ryan. I'm living a peaceful life now, but I used to live a life that was the opposite of what I am now. I lost both of my parents when I was young, and because my name was masculine, I was bullied from a young age. So I was always alone, I couldn't make any friends, and I was isolated. I spent those days dreaming of having a peaceful and warm family in the future. Ryan, my husband, works for a company founded by his grandfather. His grandfather is still the active chairman of the company. His father is the president, and Ryan is the heir to the next president. I quit my job when I got married to support Ryan, who has a bright future, and became a housewife at the same time. Our meeting was at a business meeting. The company I used to work for was doing business with the company Ryan worked for, and its main business was manufacturing machine parts. I was evaluated for the speed of delivering parts to the company, my personality that had no flaws, and my polite language in the company and at the negotiating table. There were things that could be avoided because I didn't have parents, but the company I was in evaluated my ability. That's what Ryan's grandfather and father heard, and I was encouraged to marry Ryan. Recognized by the in-laws, I was introduced to Ryan and started dating. We started living together in a new home prepared by Ryan's grandfather a few days after we started dating, as we were dating with the premise of marriage. Even when we were dating, we lived together like a married couple, helping each other with housework and cleaning. However, I was worried at first because I was parentless. Moreover, I was just an ordinary company employee and thought that I might not be suitable for him. I was worried before we got married, so I told his family about myself. I don't have parents. So I've always been an enemy of many people since I was a child. Is it okay for someone like me? When I asked, his grandfather and father told me kindly with a smile. It doesn't matter if you don't have parents. Alex, you've worked so hard. You don't have to worry about anything. For me, Alex is like a daughter, so you can rely on me anytime. His grandfather, father, and others treated me like a real family member. For me, who thought I would be alone for the rest of my life, there was no greater fortune than this, and I thought I could spend the rest of my life happily with Ryan, who is a member of such a kind family. I thought I could live as a normal person this time, but after I got married, Ryan gradually began to emotionally abuse me. The emotional abuse became worse when I found out I was pregnant with my son. My grandparents-in-law and parents-in-law were happy about the birth of their grandson, but Ryan seemed to be quite unhappy with their happy faces. Apparently, Ryan was a person who couldn't be satisfied unless he was always number one, partly because he was an only child. When everyone started to take an interest in me, Ryan began to treat me rudely. He talked behind my back so that his in-laws wouldn't find out, ignored me, and sometimes said things like, "Why do I have to take care of you just because you're pregnant? Do it yourself." He would say that and go out somewhere. I was exhausted by Ryan's change in attitude from before we got married. Even so, I thought he would be kind again once this child was born. I continued to live while thinking so, and a few months later, my son was born safely. Ryan and my in-laws were happy that their grandson was born, perhaps because he was connected by blood. However, Ryan's emotional abuse towards me did not change. Even so, I was still relieved that he was still kind to my son. My son was still small. He was still kind to my son. I kept telling myself that and continued to endure for my son. Ryan did not take advantage of my feelings, and the emotional abuse gradually worsened. In the cold winter, I was made to go shopping in thin clothes, and I was made to spill food on the floor and redo it. When Ryan was in a bad mood, he pushed me down the stairs. It was lucky that I only sprained my ankle because it was only about 4 or 5 steps from the bottom. No matter how badly Ryan treated me, I was able to keep going because of my beloved son. However, one day, Ryan's infidelity was discovered. It was a coincidence. Ryan, who happened to be drinking and came home, fell asleep on the sofa, and when I tried to call out to him, I saw his cell phone. Either he fell asleep while operating it, or the message screen was open. There, a woman's name was displayed. I had a bad feeling and felt guilty, but I secretly took Ryan's smartphone and checked its contents. There, an unbearable exchange between a man and a woman was taking place. The affair partner was a nightclub employee that Ryan often went drinking with. He said it was a company affair, but there was no way a serious in-law would go to a nightclub. When I was suffering from morning sickness, he must have gone out to meet this woman. In the exchange, there were lines like, "When are you going to divorce your wife?" which showed that they both understood that he was married. Furthermore, I found an account on Ryan's SNS that seemed to be his affair partner. The affair partner was kind enough to post many photos of herself with Ryan, including two-shot photos and photos of brand name products that Ryan probably gave her. I had a suspicion somewhere in my heart and suspected that he was cheating on me, but when I saw it with my own eyes, it was heart-wrenching. At the same time, anger welled up inside me. With trembling hands, I decided to send a message to the affair partner. "You know Ryan, don't you? I'm Ryan's wife." Then she immediately replied like this. "I know, we're dating. Have you finally decided to get a divorce?" The affair partner then kindly revealed everything to me. She didn't seem to know what position she was in and insisted on getting a divorce as soon as possible. However, judging from the exchange between the two, the affair partner was probably after Ryan's money. It's pathetic to fall for such a woman, but if I get divorced now, it will be just what the affair partner wants. I sent another message and ended the exchange with the affair partner. "I have to talk to Ryan." I decided to talk to Ryan and took pictures of the exchange with the affair partner and the photos as evidence with my smartphone. I held back tears of anger and put Ryan's smartphone back where it was. Then I quietly left the living room and headed for my sleeping son. Looking at my sleeping son's face, my body trembled with anger again. I will never forgive him. To push Ryan into hell, I decided to confront him directly the next day. "I have something important to tell you today." The next day, when Ryan came home from work, I confronted him about his affair. I showed him the evidence and the exchange between me and the affair partner. Then Ryan said to me nonchalantly, "I'm cheating?" "Oh, I've been doing it for a long time, but what does that matter?" Ryan easily admitted that he was cheating, as if it were a matter of course. "You're already over 30, aren't you? A girlfriend younger than a middle-aged woman is much better, isn't it?" According to Ryan, women over 30 look like middle-aged women and are not seen as romantic partners. If he had reflected on it, we might have been able to start over, but I was embarrassed that I had challenged him with even a little hope. Such words did not seem to come out of Ryan's mouth, and I squeezed my hands on my knees. Unbelievable. I didn't think he was such a terrible man. I've been lenient with him until now, but I can't take it anymore. Let's get a divorce. I, who had exceeded my patience, proposed a divorce to Ryan. As expected, Ryan, who had a small son, would be a little more repentant. As if this was the last mercy, I looked at Ryan. However, Ryan's face suddenly brightened happily, contrary to my thoughts. "You finally said you want a divorce." "Of course, I don't want to be with you, so I'll divorce you." Ryan began to smile as if he had been waiting, and even agreed to the divorce without any confusion. When I was stunned by his acceptance without any confusion, Ryan took out a divorce paper from his bag. "Since you asked for a divorce, I won't pay any consolation money." I asked Ryan, who was talking nonsense, with a puzzled look. "I'm divorcing because of your affair. Don't you think it's strange to say that yourself?" I managed to say something back, but Ryan laughed at me with his nose, as if to say that I was strange. "You're trying to get divorced for consolation money anyway, aren't you? There's no consolation money to pay for such a parasite." Ryan sneered at me, calling me a parasite for consolation money. I never thought he was such a terrible person. I can't deal with this person anymore, including the emotional abuse I've been through so far. Last but not least, you are really the worst man. I don't want to see Ryan's face anymore. I thought it would be useless to say anything to him, so I stood up. Feeling my blood drain, I took the divorce papers Ryan had prepared and left the house with my son without any big luggage. Ryan didn't try to stop me by saying, "You're homeless from tomorrow because you don't have a house or a husband." He laughed until the end. After leaving the house, I submitted the divorce papers and contacted a certain place. After finishing the call, I decided to stay at a certain place for a while. Then, a few days later, Ryan called my cell phone. "Hey, you. What's going on? What did you tell my family?" I heard Ryan's angry voice from the phone. As I listened to the story, Ryan was disowned by his grandparents and parents. Oh. I just told my in-laws that we got divorced and why. To tell the truth, after submitting the divorce papers, I contacted his grandparents and parents who had taken care of me and told them that I was divorcing Ryan. I explained in detail as politely as possible and told them that I had a voice recorder that I had secretly recorded when I handed down the divorce and that I had it. Then, his grandparents and parents, who heard the reason, were furious. "Alex, come to our house with your child right now. You don't even have a place to stay, do you?" I took advantage of the kind words of his grandfather and decided to stay at his family's house for a while with my son. I cried in front of them. While staying at his family's house, I showed them the voice recorder and photos of the exchange with the affair partner to make sure that Ryan couldn't escape from it. My in-laws had been making a demon-like expression since I came, and they declared that they would thoroughly crush and disinherit Ryan. Ryan, who didn't know anything about it, was making a fuss, saying, "Why do you believe in other people like you more than me, who are connected by blood?" However, the reason was simple. I had been regarded as a family by my ex-in-laws since before I got married, and I was trying to respond to that somehow. After getting married, I gained confidence and thought of my grandparents-in-law and in-laws as my real family. In addition, I was actively taking care of my sick grandfather-in-law and was also a conversation partner for my grandmother-in-law and mother-in-law. Therefore, I was more loved by my in-laws than Ryan since before I got pregnant, and I was trusted by my in-laws. On the other hand, Ryan seemed to have left his grandparents alone since he was young, and he hadn't given them any care or conversation. He had also treated his family as he pleased for his own honor. In addition, his work attitude was bad. "I'm the next president. If you go against me, I'll tell my father." He looked down on his subordinates. My fake grandfather and father seemed to think that Ryan was not the material for the next president, and that's where the affair and emotional abuse were revealed. "I'll forgive you for telling me to divorce, so persuade my family somehow. You're the one who caused this." Even after this, Ryan continued to take an intimidating attitude. But Ryan is already an ex-husband. The relationship has long been cut off. I've submitted the divorce papers, so you and I are strangers. Of course, I'll claim compensation for cheating and child support, so be prepared. He seemed to be in a hurry, and this time he said in a tearful voice, "I was wrong, so please convince my family. Otherwise, I won't be able to become the president." Is he prioritizing his own honor even at a time like this? Maybe both my son and I don't matter anymore. I couldn't accept Ryan's apology honestly, and I was really fed up with it. Ignoring Ryan's shallow words, I hung up the phone. After that, he called me several times, but my feelings didn't change at all no matter what he said. I refused Ryan's calls and put my phone in my pocket and went straight to the law firm. After that, I claimed compensation from the cheating partner through a lawyer. The cheating partner, who realized that he was being claimed for compensation, seemed to have easily abandoned Ryan. Ryan, who lost his cheating partner, repeatedly requested reconciliation with me. At that time, I was still staying at my in-laws' house and living peacefully with them. However, despite being disowned by his own parents, Ryan sometimes came to our house until late at night. Even I got annoyed, and I sent him away saying, "I won't reconcile with you no matter what you say now. If you get involved any further, I'll take legal action." Thank you for watching. How was today's story? Please subscribe to my channel. Let's meet again in the next story.